lights in the trees, a trick of the frost, a ghost on the breeze. But I saw a mirror older than me, staring through time like it wanted to speak. The forest went silent, the world held its breath. Something was watching beyond life and death. We stepped through the green, boots breaking the seal, not chasing a light, but something too real. I came back with salt on my skin, my mind split wide where the storm got in. They call it a test, but I know the deal. History blinks beneath the green veil.
And I'll tell you, good evening, everyone. But I got to say, John, every time I hear that music coming into the show, the intro, I'm like rocking in the background. That is really well done. Kudos to Keith Kerlock. I know you were part of the creation of that, but that is awesome. The intro to the Green.
No, he did an awesome job on all the music, everything. He's done
everything. It's like I'm rocking before we even start. So good evening to everybody that is watching and listening. Welcome to the preview review of the Green Veil. It's chapter 17 and 18. Wait till you guys see 18. I've seen it. Wow. And that's I don't want to give away any spoilers because we know how John is in the past. Not giving us not even a hint to Chris or I. Chris will be back next week. He's actually returning back from Florida from a police event because, you know, he's all involved with that part of his life too. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. We will not be live next weekend due to the holiday weekend. We'll be back the following weekend. And boy, oh boy, we're going to have a lot to talk about when we come back regarding Chapter 18. Chapter 18 really just lays it all out. I mean, it is profound. I suggest you don't just watch it once. Watch it a couple of times so you could absorb exactly what the heck is going on because I'm going to tell you, it's all building up. It's already building up with 17. You could see how everything is coming together. If you've been paying attention to this series, by the way, before we keep going, John, I just want to give credit because I just mentioned the content creator, Keith Kerlock. Make sure to check out his website, bcss.rocks. Also, Rose City Sound Project on YouTube. He's just doing tremendous work, and he is a big contributor to the series itself. And, of course, he wrote this. By the way, speaking of that, if you would like a copy of the Green Veil, actually, it's Veritas Obscura Echo Protocol. I hope I got that right, John?
That's right.
Okay. That is actually available for pre-order now, and it will arrive. You can receive it by Thanksgiving weekend. So you can get the entire series. It's in the form of. Is it available on Kindle as well, John? Or right now is it
right now it's available paperback and Kindle.
Okay, so we're gonna just play a quick promo for that. Let's do that right now.
A secret program, a hidden signal, and a truth he was never supposed to know. From deep inside the shadows of Rendlesham comes the Echo Protocol, a mind-bending science fiction thriller. Get it now on Amazon.
There you go. You want to add anything to that, John?
Well, I mean, if you're dying to know what happens at the end, if you get it, you'll know.
Oh.
And trust me, 18 through 22 are very intense. They're going to be very intense.
I would say it's profound. It has a great message to it. That's why the last episode will air on Wednesday, Christmas Eve at noon Eastern. And I probably will rerun it again in the evening. So if you missed it at 12, even though you can still go back and check it out on YouTube and all the other platforms, but that's the last episode. And I'm sure based on what I've seen in 18, wow, John, I mean, this is going, I think it might be controversial, but yet if people are objective and take it for face value for the message, it can only be positive in nature. That's just my own opinion. I don't know if you want to.
I mean, if you think about it, Bill, without giving away the farm, we are really in the cuspus of a major change in humanity with what's going on with AI, how everything's are changing. They're laying people off across the country, engineers, different people that are involved. They're losing their jobs because AI is taking their place, and they're also not hiring right now because AI is making everybody's work more efficient, so they don't need to hire people to, they're able to do more workload. And we're just hop skipping away before AI could take over everything. And I mean, you're not going to think anymore almost. I mean, have you used AI at all?
Not really, but
Okay.
even though I don't use it purposely, does not mean that there are certain platforms that I use that aren't being manipulated, controlled, and obviously the algorithms, everything that we do. Like when I'm just going to use it as an example, TikTok. TikTok is constantly updating and installing new updates. And I'm like, this is just for more AI algorithm to control the content, censor, everything else. It's affecting us in so many different ways. It's not just replacing jobs, but it's also observing everything we do. They're using it to monitor, to censor, to do everything. It's controlling us. It's actually controlling everything.
That was what I was going to say. More and more people that I'm around, and I won't mention his name, Keith. He doesn't do anything without asking. We call it the genie first. Just about everything he does, he goes to the genie. And I mean, the genie comes up with good stuff, but that's one more thing we're losing, the ability to think through things and do it on our own. I mean, it started way back with the cash registers, when now people can't do change. If the cash register does all the work. You ring it up, you get the total, they give you the money if it's still cash, which is very rare anymore, and then it tells you what change to give. People can't even count change anymore, and it's just slowly. I mean, kids today can't even tell time unless it's digital.
I mean, how many people actually read books anymore?
I hope a few.
I hope so too. Yeah, especially with everything that you're going to be coming out with, including your own personal book that's going to be coming out sometime. What is it, December 1st?
Well, we'll see. I mean, this one's a lot bigger, and it's taking more time to make sure it's right. Hopefully, it'll be available for pre-order on December 1st, but should know sometime next week if we're going to be able to meet that deadline or not. So
it's also what you mentioned last week: critical thinking, cognitive dissonance. It's like I'm just going to say, when I write my music, yes, I'm using AI to create the music, but I'm writing my lyrics myself. I do not want to remove all the creativity. I mean, that's a very important thing for me, is being able to write my own lyrics, not depending on AI to do that for me too. We're going to be to the point where everything that we want, just ask AI, it'll do it.
Well, yeah, you actually do. Bill, how many times have I called you and you asked Jeannie a question? Alexa, Alexa, Alexa. And I mean, also, the number one downloaded song this week was an AI generated song.
And I'm not going to lie, mine are AI created music, but
but it wasn't just sung. It wasn't just sung by AI. It was all generated by AI.
Completely.
So it was a number. There's people right now in the music industry that are crapping themselves.
There's lawsuits going on too about that, John. There are actually lawsuits because they're saying they're using the generator that creates the vocals and everything. They're taking it, sampling it from other artists and incorporating it. It's not exactly, but they're using that as a baseline. And those artists work.
Yeah, but they're going to lose because it's just like the patent law, okay? The patent law is if you make enough changes to the whatever you're doing, you can't be sued for violating the patent.
If you remember back in the day, Vanilla Ice, it was one beat different, but they lost because it was just one beat. But like you said, if there's enough of a change, And
But remember this, the computer's doing it. You're not going to beat the computer. It's not a person trying to alter it. It's the computer's doing it. The AI's doing it now. And it will make it enough that you can have it toned. Now, here's something that's interesting, Bill, that you may not be aware of, but I just found out that you could take your voice and you could sing all the songs that you write. And it'll modify your voice to make it sound better than what you sound like. So then you're not violating any rules.
Oh, I like that.
Because when you write the song, even if it's AI generated a lot of it, you're not breaking any rules. You're writing the song. It doesn't matter how you write it, you're writing it. So the industry can't fight you on that. And you can put out a whole album in a day where it takes these guys a month to write one song. So you're already ahead of them on that, but you can take your voice now and put it in and it'll modulate it and they can't do anything to you then.
It's almost like when you replace real instruments with electronic sampling or programming.
Yeah, but look what the bands did. Remember when the electric guitar came out, all the synthesized music, everybody raised hell, but it's there. The disco started it, and it's just, it's part of the industry now.
So all of this is related as far as how we are becoming more dependent on AI-driven technology. It's affecting us across the board. I just brought up music as an example because it's directly to what I do, but it's across the board. Everything we do, it's got some influence of AI involved. It could be our phones. It's all around the shop, and it's becoming more of an influence. And there are flags, and I think that we really need to pay attention to it and monitor it because this could potentially be dangerous on many levels, whether it's hacking, whatever invasive procedures, maneuvers, manipulation, control, even deep fake videos. I mean, it's affecting everything across the board.
Well, the deep fake videos are another thing where they're actually able to put videos together saying, like, I think it was, who was complaining, Michio Kaku, or how do you say his name? Was they were using him saying something about 3i Atlas that he didn't say. Yep. But everybody, it sounded just like him. And
we used to worry about photoshopping and other fake stuff that's out there regarding UAP. Now you've got to distinguish if a video is authentic or not. I mean, you got to really know what you're looking for to pick out those features that say that's obviously fake. But for a lot of people, John, they can't recognize it.
Guess what? Most people pretty soon won't be able to recognize it unless the computer does. It'll take AI to recognize it was AI generated.
Yep.
And that's going to be, it's true. But the funny thing is pretty soon we won't think for ourselves. We won't make a decision or do anything without running it through. Like I said, Keith and I call it the genie. So, well, let's ask the genie, So there you go.
Independent thought, our own consciousness. Even if for people of a spiritual sense, that's an essence. That's our part of our soul, our spirit. And it's diminishing. It's being replaced by artificial intelligence. It's like, what the hell is going on?
Well, and then even more, it's probably some non-human intelligence that's involved in this too.
And I bet you there's going to be a lot of people out there, or some people, I don't want to say a lot, there will be some people say this is demonic in nature. This is all part of some kind of an evil agenda. I'm just saying there's going to be people out there that are going to say that.
I mean, you can't say they're wrong, but everything new somehow gets labeled demonic. You know what I mean? It's somehow everything when we make changes, everything is, it's the devil's work or everything else. But it mostly, whether you want to call it the devil's work or what, it's basically making us obsolete. It won't be long before what do they need? The only thing they're going to need short term is people smart enough to repair it, but they're close to where it can repair itself. There'll be a robot or intelligence that'll come in and analyze it and be able to repair it. And then what are we going to do with ourselves? We pretty much put us out of business.
Do you think it would get to the point where they're really going to, if let's just say AI it's self-aware, if it's going to create replica biological parts for us, the host, or they're going to say they're not worthy of that. We got to concentrate on us. Keep going. It could get so bad.
Well, you want to hear the worst part about this, Bill?
Oh my gosh.
Here's the worst part. You have AI that's influencing everybody and what they do, what they say, how they say, what they believe.
Yeah.
They also now have the ability with what they've been working on is how to manipulate the mind with frequencies. Pretty soon, they can manipulate people to follow AI blindly. They will get people to do things that they would not normally do. And you can't explain it, but they did it. And that's when they'll take complete control.
What about if AI tries to predict your future behavior?
Probably, they could probably do it. Probably not 100% yet, but because they've already been doing studies medically about how, when you're born, they can genetically test you to find out if you're going to have cancer, dementia, and all this.
Oh yeah, stuff. Genetically, yes.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The next step will be, what's a person going to be like? What are they going to do? And they'll influence your behavior. That was what MK Ultra was all about, which people didn't understand. They were trying to manipulate people to do things that they wanted them to do with thought process and everything else.
Agreed. Another thing too is forget about lie detector tests. The AI is going to determine if you're lying or not. It's going to advance like that. It's going to determine if you're telling the truth or not. Forget about being wired up and monitored with blood pressure and all. They're going to implement that where AI is going to now determine if a person is being truthful or not. I'm telling you, this is so scary on so many different levels. I mean,
you know what we're becoming, don't you?
What?
We are the Borg.
I knew you were going to say that.
We are the Borg. Keith and I were talking about that earlier tonight. We are the Borg. Resistance is futile.
Science fiction, sometimes it does become science fact. And even like the Terminator movies. I mean, Skynet.
Yeah.
A matter of fact, this earlier today, it was funny. I stumbled. I was watching Tubi of all things, and I was watching The Day the Earth Stood Still. And I'm watching it. I watched
that's becoming very popular lately. I didn't know if you knew that.
With 3i Atlas, I'm like, here comes an interstellar, and they say it in the movie, an interstellar object coming out in the plane, passing Jupiter, and it's turning toward Earth, and it's going to land in Manhattan. I'm like, well, a lot of the speculation with 3i Atlas was similar to what I'm seeing in this movie, and then the message, it's all about Earth. And a message to those that inhabit the planet. It's either you turn your shit around and you straighten it out, or you're going bye-bye and we're going to cleanse it and we're going to start over because the earth is going to be saved, but you're not, because you're the ones that are threatening the existence of all life on the planet, including yourselves. I was like, this reminds me a lot of this whole thing with a lot of the talk out there with 3i Atlas. If it's an alien ship or a probe or a messenger, because we've touched on that here with the Green Veil. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because I haven't seen that movie in years. And I'm like, and I seen it, I was like, whoa, this sounds crazy familiar. But unlike the things that are going out there in the discussion, the information, did you see the NASA press conference on 3i?
Yeah, we've got a little promo for that if you want to run it.
You want to play it?
Yeah, let's play it now.
All right. Here we go.
NASA held a call-in Q&A session on November 19th, and the silence spoke louder than the answers. Key anomalies documented by researchers were never addressed, avoided entirely throughout the call. Data suggests the object could span 10 kilometers or more, roughly 20 times larger than Borisov, and potentially over 1 million times more massive than Oumuamua. Its approach aligned almost perfectly with the ecliptic plane, a 1 in 500 probability for natural interstellar objects. After passing the Sun, 3i Atlas accelerated. Listeners asked about it. The response, a brief acknowledgement, followed by a pivot. Several categories of basic data remain unavailable. Composition, thermal readings, nucleus modeling, all marked as pending without explanation. When questions shifted toward these gaps, the answers became shorter, more vague, and finally redirected entirely. The pattern is familiar. Withheld data, unexplained behavior, and signals that don't match the official narrative. Themes explored in the novel Veritas Obscura, Echo Protocol, where hidden transmissions and buried truths shape a much larger story. A narrative inspired by the questions no one is answering. Veritas Obscura, Echo Protocol, now available on Amazon.
Now, though this is a fictionalized book, it's based on actual events that you experienced regarding Rendlesham. I just want to make that clear to everyone. But this also makes one think, maybe not necessarily about the instance of 3i Atlas that's going on now, but any future event. You have to wonder if, I'm not saying that this is extraterrestrial in nature or whatever, but when that eventually happens, would they even tell us? Because you could see there's lack of information even coming out with this. I was shocked and stunned on after we were told, oh, the shutdown, we have to wait. Wait for what? Wait for the nonsense?
Did they even talk about why they activated the protocol?
And that's another thing. And in the movie, that's another thing. And the day the Earth, they talked about putting that into place, that alarm, that whole thing, the Earth alarm. I was like, oh my gosh, dude. I just got to share the screen. I have to share the screen. This is what we got. Okay, this is what we got. This is, and it goes from newest to oldest. These images, look how pixelated that. You're telling me they couldn't get a better image than that, John? They could not get a better. That is so pixelated and out of focus. That's the best they can give us. Why isn't that cleaned up? You're telling.
Why do the UAPs that the videos they've shown are the same way?
Yeah.
You can't get a good look at it.
Nope.
You can't analyze it properly. So
Exactly. And you have to ask yourself, why? With the technology we have, this is the best they can do. Honestly,
it's the best they're going to give us, but
right,
it's not the best they can do.
Exactly. That's the best they're going to give us. And that makes you answer questions. Well, this is all in the date that it was approaching Mars or passing Mars or going near Mars right here. As it's exiting, you could see the dates. I mean, this is the hydrogen that it's supposedly giving off, the hydrogen atoms. But this is the best we can do, John. This is the best we can get from NASA. Really?
It's the best we're going to get. You're right about that.
I was like, this is BS. I can't believe we're supposed to accept this is the best they got. Of all the images they must have taken, this is what we get. Really? This is, I was livid. It was boring, number one. It was like lack of information. You could have fell asleep. At least I could have fell asleep while
well, that's probably what happens when these scientists get on and stuff. They start getting technical and people start.
Yeah, that's true. The terminology, it gets. So I was like, wow, we waited for all this time. We're approaching the end of November. This is October data, early mid-October. We don't have nothing. NASA has nothing else.
Well, they do, but so do some of the other countries. The interesting thing is that supposedly sometime in December they're going to get another better look at it. But where those shows or not. But I mean, this all goes back to like the interview that was done on Fox on Friday night with David Grush. You know, he did his typical tap dance. There's things that I know I can't talk about. It's classified, or we'd have to go into a sealed room and you don't have the clearance. They threatened my life. But what he did say that was interesting, which there's no evidence to support it right now, but even Brett Baer kind of scratched his head. He somehow thinks this administration is going to, based on he's working with Congress and everything, is going to be the disclosure administration. He said that this president knows more about it than any president has ever known. And he says eventually we're going to get some kind of answer, is what he felt.
And this is what Grush said?
Yep, on Friday night.
Again, all the talk is talk until we see action.
No, I agree.
You know, we have to see how this plays out. Now, we still have 3 years of this administration, so there is still, I would think there is time, more hearings, etc. But I I actually I didn't watch it yet. I have it. Age of disclosure. I skimmed through it. I just skimmed through it because I wanted to see who they featured in this. It looks like it is a Luis Elizondo documentary. He's in like the whole thing. It looks like the main, and I haven't watched it, so I cannot give it a fair, objective review because, like I said, I skimmed through it because I didn't have the time to sit down and actually watch it and really analyze it. But I just skimmed to see who's involved, and I was like, it's the typical players. It's him and Mellon, Gary Nolan, and other supporting folks in this documentary. So
remember, though, this was filmed almost 3 years ago.
And it looks like it's rehashing stuff we already know.
Yeah, well, that was part of the aggravation that they delayed it so long. Most of what they had in it has already been out. It's not been put all together in one spot, but all the different things have come out one way or another. So that was one of them. And I mean, these guys, I don't really care because
it started with TTSA. This started with To the Stars Academy. It's like that core. It's like it came from there. It's like they're still trying to get stuff out there. That was the plan when TTSA got together, was to try to put stuff like media out this out there with Elizondo and Mellon, and then they branched off, and then they did something else, and then they got away from that, and now they're doing something else. It's like this was the whole objective all along. What to do this and get it out there. But
DeLong went rogue on them. That was part of the problem. And then the producer, the director, whatever, Farah was just on Joe Rogan. So that's that. He was on Joe Rogan Thursday, or whenever Rogan's episode comes out, and so he was on there for how many? I think 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours. So he was talking about different things. I mean, again, there's a lot of people out there that haven't hardly followed this, and
that's who it's for.
That may catch some attention, but again, at the end of the day, the final conclusion is, and you have to, people get mad at, a lot of people don't like conservative Fox and all that. Fox has given this more coverage than any of the other networks.
News Nation as well, they did.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about News Nation's third tier.
Oh,
Fox,
yeah.
Fox is right below the major networks, all right?
Well, really, Tucker Carlson, when he was
he did, but he's not there anymore. But and Brett Baer is their main news guy. So he interviewed Farah a week before, and then Gresh just last week. So they're giving it some attention, but you still walk away with there's no proof. That's what he said. He says, well, yeah, the Russians and other countries have craft and bodies. I know, I've seen the documents. Okay, but where is any of the evidence?
It's funny how they can say, well, I've seen the documents, but so they can't redact everything else in that document and just simply put out what he's stating. Do you know what I mean? Just redact the rest, but show that what he's saying is.
Well, Bill, do you really think that they're going to announce this with Congress in a hearing? This will never. The only person, it doesn't matter if this is the current president or anybody else, the way this will probably come out, almost guaranteed, is there'll be an announcement from the White House.
In this book, and this is an old book. This is an old book right here. The Fawcett Greenwood book. It actually has a district court stating there was a decision made in the early 80s when they tried to get documents from the government. And the judge said, and I'm paraphrasing, the national security of the United States far outweighs the need to know of the public about.
Now, in that book, did they talk about Peter Gersten?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, I was going to just tell you, he was the UFO lawyer. It was during that time frame. He was a guy that took it all the way to the Supreme Court. He won his case in court. The government gave him, I don't know, it was 1,000 pages of documents on what they had. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Every document was blacked out completely.
Of course, it's
so he took it to the Supreme Court, and they didn't hear the case. But the point being is, and then he moved to Sedona, and he's now climbing Bell Rock every day.
This is so important because when people watch these hearings and they think that, like you're talking about, there's no way it's coming out. It's national security. It's classified. There is no way. And the reason I'm bringing this up because there's precedent. And you mentioned about the Supreme Court. There is precedent in the courts.
Yeah.
Decisions that are made why this will never come out because it's even been brought in a court case and the judge said, heck no. And I'm just going to read it really quickly. A total of 239 UFO documents were discovered by the NSA in their files, with 79 originating from other government agencies. These agencies, unnamed, also refused to allow their documents to be released. The NSA documents primarily took the form of either communication intelligence reports or signal intelligence, but I'm sure you're fully aware of that.
Well, isn't the signal part of the book?
Yeah, that's true.
There you go.
After reviewing the arguments, the court declared in a memorandum an order that release of the documents, and here's the quote, could seriously jeopardize the work of the agency and the security of the United States. And then it goes on, public interest in disclosure is far outweighed by the sensitive nature of the materials and the obvious effect on national security interests. So end of story. End of story.
No, but eventually it went forward. Gersten went to the higher court and they forced the government to release the documents, but they allowed them to redact anything that was classified. Everything there was not a single line that was not redacted in all the documents. So then he took it to the Supreme Court and they reviewed it and they refused to, hear it. But here's the thing. The movie, I haven't seen it either, but what Ferris said, and I didn't watch Rogan, but I saw him on Fox. He said this is a race, which, by the way, you read my weaponization book. I said that before they did any of this. There's a race right now, and that was a FOIA I got from the MOD. There's a race right now to weaponize this technology. And whoever gets the technology will control the table for the next 100 years, just like when we developed a nuclear bomb first. And then we've controlled it for the last almost 100 years now. So it's, what I'm getting at? That's the race. And you're right, Bill. They're never going to disclose what they know, because that gives up what we have. I mean, they did it with the nuclear bomb. I'm sorry, what?
Look what you've been through, just trying to get medical records.
Well, did you see that latest thing that was on? It was covered by a news agency in, I think it was Nevada, where these guys are suing the government right now because they worked at Area 51 and they're all getting cancer and sick. And the government won't acknowledge. They won't acknowledge their records or files or anything that was there. So they're in a pickle right now with the same thing. And that's what happened with me. And they weren't going to give up any of my documents that supported I was there, what happened to me, or anything else, to include my medical stuff. But
Because
that
would reveal, John, what they were actually doing and the side effects, the ramifications of whatever they were testing or experimenting on or developing, because it would reveal that. They would have to say, well, it was because of this that these individuals fell ill and got sick. We were working on this. They're never going to reveal. There's no.
Well, yeah, that's true. But one of the interesting things about my stuff that came out, which most people, it actually shut Above Top Secret up. It was an interesting thing. After I got my settlement, we announced it at Open Minds. We said the government admitted by de facto that UAPs are real. And that was it. As far as I was concerned, I got what I asked for. And I was veilly warned, and I'm not trying to sound like Koresh. I wasn't like threatened physically I was going to die or anything, but they sent me a letter and they said, we've taken charge of your case. We're going to treat you for it. All the documents and FOIAs that you've put out there, we're not going to answer. The case is closed. We're not going to answer your questions. And they'd already broken the law by refusing within the time frame of the FOIAs that were put in. Some of them were by government agency, including Senator McCain's office. They completely ignored mine, McCain's, and the state agency that was involved in my appeal. So they said, we're not going to do it. The case is closed. We're taking care of you. Move on. And that's exactly the message the VA gave to Cheryl Bennett. It's over. There's nothing more to discuss here, nothing more to see. He was injured in the line of duty at the event. We're going to take care of him. Let it go. So, okay, it doesn't take a genius to read through the lines what the government was telling me. Well, Christopher Green wouldn't let it go. And he actually wrote some of what later was classified in a letter that he gave to me to give to the VA, which started my procedure for the surgery to get the treatment and then led partly to my settlement. He put some of that in above top secret. He laid exactly out what was going on, and he even said what happened to me was tied up in SAP programs.
Even more. Need to know.
But he said that came from a CIA guy now. This isn't me talking or hyperbole. This was a guy that was in the CIA, was a top-level analyst. Then he left as a contractor for the DIA, the NSA, and the CIA, and he spelled out some of what went on, which was shocking to Pat and I because we didn't know he was going to do it. Yet, once again, it just went over everybody's head. Nobody knew what to do with it. No one knew how to handle it. So the point is there is evidence out there. I mean, in the book I'm going to put out here, hopefully sooner than later, there'll be evidence in it, the fight I just had with the MOD. But even in the Green Veil, like Chris was saying and you were saying, I'm talking about real technology in this book.
All right.
This isn't made up technology. This is real stuff.
Before you continue that, hold that thought, because I was just going to attach it to what you mentioned just a few seconds ago. First of all, thank gosh you had John McCain put the pressure and help get what you deserved and the coverage, because if he would have said, okay, that's it, I'm done, we're having a hearing about this right now, we're going to lay all this out, and you know that's what they wanted, because we talked about this before, that McCain would say, well, let's do a hearing on this. Let's bring it to a hearing. And that's when did
you know he did, actually? Here's what happened. Most people aren't aware of this either, but it's real. And I researched it for the book because I didn't know the whole story behind it until pieces leaked out, and then I put it all together. First of all, when I went down and saw Hal Puthoff in November of 2014, before my settlement, I got to see a bunch of documents. And I was shown a bunch of stuff. Now, there was nothing on it that led me to believe it was classified material at the time. Okay. So I didn't break any rules as far as I was aware of at that point. And I never talked about him afterwards. So after I got my settlement in 2017, when the New York Times story broke, McCain turned around and held a hearing on what was all about. And the players that were involved with me came forward and went to his hearing, and they released those 38 DIRTS papers.
Wow. I didn't know.
Now, according to what I've been told, which again, there's evidence to support this, those were all the papers that were declassified to the public were confidential. There were papers above that level because you could go into clearances. You can have them written up to top secret, even an SAP program, but they dumb them down all the way down to confidential. So you could take out different things in the paper, rewrite it, so it can go down. Now, the papers that were released that were DIRTS papers were confidential. They were classified confidential.
You're saying they're like a watered down version from the classified.
Oh yeah, they were a lot higher than there was more in them that was higher up. Now, what they do is they don't black it out because that's a giveaway. So they just write it. They just take certain things out of the paper, and then it's a confidential paper. So McCain followed up on what happened to me, and so he was going to do a hearing on what happened to us. And because of what he knew about what happened to us, when the New York Times article broke, he followed up on it. And they went to him, and they were trying to get his committee to authorize funding for exotic technology.
Okay.
That's how deep this stuff goes.
Hold that thought, because you said something else earlier that someone told you that it was related to SAP. which
That was
is
Kid Green.
okay, and he definitely is in the know because and
He has the highest clearance going. He briefed Reagan on UFOs.
And this is why what happened at Rendlesham, it's so easy to put the shiny object. Let them say it's a UFO, extraterrestrials. Let them go with that. Let them run with that to take it off of what really happened. It was a part of an SAP program. It was definitely a
Well, according to Kid Green, it was. And he didn't say one SAP program. He said several.
Okay. And then we get the article earlier in the year. It was, I think, in the New York Times or the Post, whatever it was, saying that they have been testing the weaponization, testing weapons, platforms, secret stuff on bases. Rendlesham. But I think they mentioned the base that Salas was at. That was the main focus of that article.
Morrison, no, that was the Arrow report.
No, but there was something.
That was the Arrow report.
Okay.
That was the first part of the Arrow report. The second part has never been released. They've blown the deadline on that. Now, supposedly, the second part of the Arrow report is going to have different incidents discussed. You know, Maelstrom was discussed in the first one, and they said we were testing our equipment and brought it down. Well, Salas and all the UFO people went crazy on this. But interesting enough, I haven't talked to somebody that still works inside government, and we were discussing it, and he kind of was saying, that's a little bit crappy. I said, well, you were aware of the technology that was there connected to this launch site? And he goes, tell me. I said, it was the Marks generator and Sage radar. And that changed the conversation. He goes, the Marks generator, it was directly connected to the launch site. That generator was Tesla-based technology. They built it. You know when the generator first came up, the very first generator came out?
When? What years?
The Philadelphia experiment.
I had a feeling
that generator was involved with the Philadelphia experiment.
But again, John, if you think about, forget about it, because there's two classifications, acknowledged, unacknowledged SAPs. There's no doubt it's need to know. Nobody needs to know nothing about anything if it's especially if it's an unacknowledged SAP, which I think a lot of this is under that veil. I hate to use that term right now.
Well, no, wait a minute, Bill. No one knows about the SAP programs. Didn't you hear Nancy Mace? But wait a minute, Nancy Mace said in the hearing, she said, we vote on funding. We don't vote on what the project is, what it involves. We just get told that we have to allow a lot, like say $1 billion to this SAP program. They don't tell us what the program is, what it's about, or anything. And Congress goes in and blindly votes money to fund these projects that they don't even know the name of.
She also said in the hearing, I don't remember which one, that they purposely overclassify stuff so that people can't get access to a skip to see.
Yeah, but you know why they do that too? No, I'll give you an example of why they do. Okay, you know how Condign got out?
Not off.
The British didn't do a very good job of stuff, so they had some documents that were declassified, but they keep things classified. But in these documents, it talked about a report that was written. David Clark saw that and then inquired about the report. It didn't mention it by name, but he had them in a corner, and eventually they had to release a redacted Condign report. You could go and release a document that for most people wouldn't even waste the time to read it. The good people will look at it and they'll pick something up in the document that'll lead to something else. So whenever you open and declassify something, you run a risk of giving up something unintentionally.
That is true. I remember when you and Linda, I believe, I don't know if I produced that show, but you actually interviewed him on Phenomenon Radio. Am I correct? A few years back, you interviewed David Clark?
Yeah, we did. We interviewed David Clark.
I would recommend that people go back and check that episode out. It is available out there. That was a fascinating.
Well, see, Clark is an interesting guy because he likes the limelight, but the other factor is that he basically doesn't believe in UFOs, but he definitely believes the government's hiding something, and he's not totally ruled out. It could be a UAP, type of thing. But what he does know, based on all the FOIAs he's done and everything he's done with the government, is they're hiding something that leads to technology.
And again, what the weaponization of it. That's like you said, whoever gets that breakthrough
I have
technology.
a FOIA from the MOD admitting they developed technology off of a UAP.
But like you mentioned earlier and you mentioned last week, whoever comes out with that breakthrough technology has definitely the superior edge.
Well, it's out there, Bill. We're watching it in action right now.
That's true. A lot of the
We,
things
we haven't mass produced it. In other words, there's two things going on. We don't have the capability to mass produce it yet, and it's unreliable. And did you just see the latest thing that most people missed when they interviewed the Israeli prime minister, and he says Israel has developed offensive weapons that no other superpower has, including the United States, but they have giving access to the United States these weapons.
but that can also
That's part of no. That's part of the Iron Dome system. When you watch those shoot down of those missiles that came from Iran a while back, they were using laser plasma technology.
I know the lasers were involved because I heard that.
Yeah, but no, you could see it in the videos. So this is all goes back to what UAPs are.
The only thing is, in the day, obviously you have to think about the psyop aspect of it all. That they may be just saying that to throw off the adversary, which would in this case be Iran, to make them. I'm just saying. I'm just being just putting that out.
Iran's junk. They never were a threat. They were conveniently there and allowed to do what they did to continue to keep the military build up the way we have it, where we spend we used to be the largest part of our budget. Now it's the interest on the debt. But it used to be we spent more money on the military. In fact, up until the last few years when China started escalating their budget, we outspent everybody else. Our budget was bigger than the rest of the world. Now China is, made it so they've made theirs. But see, we spend almost $1 trillion now. China spends $150 billion a year. And that's what I mean. And they're a threat. How are they a threat? Where are we putting all this money? We're spending, I think the last budget was almost $900 billion. Where's all this money going? The Chinese have a
SAPs, bro. It's going to SAPs.
Think about this, Bill. The Chinese have a bigger Navy than we do now. Yet their budget's only 25% of what we spend every year.
But is their Navy as sophisticated as ours? I mean, one of our ships probably matches up to 5 of theirs.
Well,
you know what I mean?
It could be. I mean, they don't have the skill level that we have because it's a new Navy. But according to what you're reading, which I can't say is true or not, technology-wise, they're close to us. The only problem they have right now is they don't have that advanced NVIDIA chip
they
that they want.
Intellectual property. How much of that goes on all the time?
It doesn't matter how they got it. They have it, and they can utilize it.
Yeah,
Bill, I mean, it doesn't matter how you get it. If you have it and can play it in the game, it's a problem. So all I'm getting at, but they do this like, don't you remember the moon joke, the gravity joke with the Russians and the Americans? The Americans spent like billions of dollars to figure out how to write in non-gravity, a pen. They developed a pen. The Russians used a pencil.
I've never heard that one.
Yeah, it's true though, but it's true. It's not only. I'm saying it. It's true. But they just use the pencil in space. Sure. The point being is we waste a lot of money, but we make these threats up all the time to then get the funding from the taxpayers.
Of course. Look, it's almost like in the movie Independence Day. Do you think it costs that much for a toilet seat or whatever the heck it was mentioned in that movie?
Yeah, no, when the president said, how come I didn't know about this and where did we get the money? And the one guy, the comedian, goes, what do you think? A $550 toilet seat was real?
Yeah, exactly.
But the point is that we are doing a lot of advancements.
Oh, yes.
And Gress called these guys the old guard, the graybeards. He said the graybeards are, they're going to be gone. I mean, Green, Puthoff, and all those guys, Davis is younger, but Green and Puthoff are in their mid-80s. They don't have much time left. And some of these other people that were involved in this have died now. So McAfee was one of them. I don't know if you knew who Bruce McAfee was, but he was one of them. So a lot of these guys have either died or, you know, they're getting up there where they're not gonna make it much longer. So they've got to get some of these new engineers and people involved. But guess what's on the horizon now? AI, NHI, and that's going to speed the process up. Never mind, we've learned how to bring down the ability with the generate the energy. We've made that very small now. On top of the fact, again, quantum computing. So we've made some major advances. The only thing holding this back right now is the energy. Google just said they need to double their size and energy capacity in the next 2 years. They're not going to be able to do it. We don't have enough energy available to actually power this stuff. So it's going to slow us down a little bit. But the technology's there. We just can't mass produce it yet for two reasons. We can't hide or print that much money.
It's almost like the military industrial complex. The future is AI on the battlefield. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, it is. They've already said that.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
But if you just have to go to DARPA, which people don't follow, DARPA is working on taking human consciousness and put it in AI because they don't want to lose complete control of the AI.
What is the major concern in the United States amongst the citizens about no boots on the ground? You hear that often, right? And I think most of us would agree with that. We don't want to get our people involved in any wars at all, period, and jeopardize their lives. But what if that becomes obsolete and that's not a necessity in the future using AI or non-human?
Well, I don't want to prove anybody this.
I'm saying, dude,
but Bill, we've already done that. I mean, if you look at the last two Iraqi wars, the casualties have been minimal. And I'm not downplaying any person that passed, you know, that was killed in action or wounded, severely wounded. The battlefield is slowly, you know, how many, I think it was 45 million people died in World War One.
A lot.
I forget what died in World War. It was not as many in World War II, but each war, the casualty rate's dropping. And the last few, you know, military, I don't think the second Iraqi war was in the thousands, which again, I'm not, any person that dies is tragic.
It's one too many.
But it's just, they're taking the human factor out of it more.
Exactly. And I think we're really going to see that implemented more in the future. Absolutely.
But that's what this book's all about. Where we were in 80, where we are today, how it's going to affect us, the choices we now have to make going forward. Throw in a little, you know, hot sauce with something coming towards us that's going to influence all this, which, like I said, I wrote this before they brought up 3-Eye Atlas. And there you've got your mix. And it's something, these next 18 through 22, I hope people will listen and circulate it and just think about, because it's free. You don't have to buy the book if you don't want to, I understand. But you can listen to what the book tells you for free in these next 4 videos coming up.
18 is
anything about 17 you want to bring up before we run out of time?
We actually are out of time now, but I want to say 18, I was blown away by 18. I was blown away by 18. I hit 18 before 17 and I was ahead of it, but I still understood how it built up to 18. 18, I'm telling you, I was like, I had to watch it 3 times. I had to watch it 3 times because I had to let it all soak in on how profound the messaging is on this. It ties a lot. I don't want to give anything away, but a person who's a Catholic like I am, I'm like looking at this and I'm like, dude, it was heavy. It was intense. And like I said, this is about the messaging, the positive message. It is profound. I think this is just you have to see this on Thursday, folks. You can catch up, but you don't miss 18 on Thursday. Don't miss 18 because, like he's saying, this is it.
All of them give you something to think about, but 18 through 22, this is based on real probabilities and how we've been misled, you know, and why we view things the way we do. And if you don't, at least be open-minded enough to listen to the message. It's pretty powerful.
And it's positive. It's positive. The message is beautiful. That's what I'm saying. It was so profound watching it. I'm like, what a perfect way to lead into Christmas Eve with this. It's just, to me, dude, this was incredible work on your part putting this together. I was really impressed. I like 18 really blew me away. And I'm not saying it because you're here and I'm talking to the audience.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. And even Chris said it. Wow. And Chris should be back. Remember, everyone, we're off next week for the Thanksgiving holiday. We want to wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving.
And I want to give a message here that Keith just sent me.
Okay.
He's got a book out. He's just put out himself. But one of the things, the message is the real power struggle isn't political. It's technical. We are getting so advanced so fast that, I mean, the scientists themselves are having trouble keeping up. They're laying off engineers because they're no longer. Think about this. Google just laid off 1,800 engineers. These guys go to school for a long time, and they say we no longer need you because AI can do your job. Think about that. But think about that. 1,800 people just got laid off because
I don't care if you had 100,000 people. The AI could do what 100,000 does in 5 minutes.
Yes. Well, I mean, you know what? How long it takes to put a song together?
5-10 seconds.
Well, a little longer than that, but you know what I mean.
Because I got to write the lyrics, but the AI generates it in like 15 seconds.
Yeah. You can't tell the difference. You can't tell the difference, folks. Think about this. The #1 downloaded song this last week was a country song that was AI. They said it was completely AI generated. It wasn't like an artist sat down and worked with it. They just said, create the song, create the lyrics, create the voice, make the song, and they downloaded, they put it out there, and it was the #1 downloaded song.
That's incredible.
And you can't tell. You cannot tell the difference. We have songs out there. You have songs out there. You cannot tell they're AI generated.
Some of mine you can tell. Some of them you can't.
Right.
It's like that. It depends, on the vocal.
But we're just in the infancy stages. Think about that.
Yes.
We're not. This is just the baby steps right now. It's just taking off. It's just starting. What do you think we're going to be in the next 2-3 years?
For real. Exactly. Not just and you're right, in just a couple of years. Forget about 5 years.
Well, the only thing that'll slow us down will be the ability to generate the energy. Why do you think Trump's pushing so hard to control all the oil in the world and build all these power plants and forward nuclear energy? It's going to take, they've got these small nuclear reactors. They're building them down. They're going to put them down the road from where I am, 50 miles from here, Clinton. 5 of those reactors are small, will double the capacity of the one nuclear generator they built back in the 70s.
3 Mile Island is coming back.
Yeah, but that's the old, it's with new technology, but it's the big stuff. They've got these little portable.
I know what you're saying, but
yeah. And some of these companies are going to put them off the grid. The energy is the thing that's going to slow us down a little bit. We're going to lose ourselves if we're not careful. And that's this profound message, this 18th through 22. So if you listen to it and you like it, send it to your friends. People need to start thinking before it's too late. Because if we don't, we're going to lose our soul. Science will dominate our soul, which is what faith is. Our soul ties to faith and beliefs. And if we let science overcome that, we're done. We're doomed. We're no longer a human. Human is the way we were born and supposed to function.
I can't think of a better way to end the show than on that note.
Everybody, happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And make sure to check out Chapter 18, The Return Field, on Thursday. Don't miss it. I'm telling you, don't miss it, because it's like, this is it. This is it.
18 through 22.
Yep. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Have a great holiday. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Till then, on behalf of John Burroughs and I, good night.